Hey everybody, this is Sports Fanatic News. I'm Joe Boric. This is the one and only video on the day, which is going to be a look ahead to the Philadelphia 76ers versus the Cleveland Cavaliers on November 27th. The Cavs beat us 113 to 91. The Sixers, through part of that game, did keep it close, and then the Cavaliers really pulled away in the end, and we got a lot of props from LeBron for having to really prepare for this team because of their great young presence. Granted, tonight it's going to be at least a couple times tougher because Embiid, due to win probability, would be my guess, is not playing tonight, but will play tomorrow at 7 o'clock against the Pelicans. And again, my guess in why they decided to do that, one, he's not clear for back-to-backs yet. They said the earliest would be January when we have the back-to-back, which I believe is mid-January. And then two, because of win probability, obviously the Sixers have a better probability to beat the Pelicans, especially with Embiid in. If they sat Embiid, it would have been a lot harder to beat the Pelicans due to having to defend Anthony Davis and DeMarcus Cousins. So I see it from that perspective. Obviously, it's annoying that Joel Embiid can't play back-to-back yet, but there's nothing we can do about it until the doctors clear him and they say he's good enough to play back-to-backs. So if we look at tonight's game, with Joel Embiid being out, that would mean our leading scorer that will be playing is, of course, Ben Simmons, who averages about 17.7 a game with 7.5 assists, 9.5 boards. Look for him to step up tonight in Joel's absence, like he has in a couple games Joel was not in. And then I would believe Trevor Booker will be available tonight. Whether they use him a lot or not remains to be seen. But our new acquisition averages about 10.2 points this year with 2.1 assists, 6.6 total rebounds. But most of Trevor Booker's rebounds come on the defensive end, which is something the Sixers have very much been lacking the past two games against the Suns and the Lakers. So getting defensive rebounds is a must and a big thing you must do against Cleveland. Robert Covington averages 15.1 with 6.2 rebounds and about 2 assists a game. And then Richaun Holmes, who's going to have to come up big too in Joel Embiid's absence, who's looked very solid of late, has 5.5 points with 3.8 rebounds, but those numbers will keep going up if he keeps playing very well off of the bench. Amir Johnson's going to have to step up and get some boards in Embiid's absence. He averages 5.5 with about 4 points a game. And then Redick averages 16 points with 2.8 rebounds and 3.5 assists. And then it looks like, again, TJ McConnell is out tonight again, so they're going to have to mix in different guards, so that obviously hurts us even more, not having our big playmaker off the bench against Cleveland. This is going to be a really tough game for the Sixers, and it's unlikely that the Sixers will be able to win this game without Joel Embiid's presence in the game. And even then, like I was saying, our win probability was not high, even with Embiid in the game, if you looked at the numbers for like ESPN score or whatever on win probability. But it was definitely better and more significant with JoJo in the game. If we look at the predictor here, it has Cleveland with a 64.5% chance to win and us with only a 35.5%. So, of course, this game's going to be very tough without Joel, and obviously LeBron actually statistically is having his best overall season in his entire career. Kind of hard to believe, being the guy's 33, but he just doesn't slow down, at least to this point. He is so far a guy that you would consider the Iron Man. That, yeah, of course he's had some injuries in his career, still not a whole lot, but he, in terms of not slowing down, he just keeps right on rolling. with 28.2 points, 8.1 rebounds, and 8.5 assists a game. And he gets about 1.5 to 2 steals and about 2 blocks a game as well. And then obviously one of Cleveland's other big players is Kevin Love, who averages about 20 a game with 1.8 assists and 10.4 rebounds. So he averages a double-double. He's been doing better of late, so the Sixers really got to watch him. What worried me about this game against Cleveland, too, was we have not been guarding the perimeter well much at all. And J.R. Smith's been starting to get going better of late. Overall, his numbers are still not great. He only averages 8.5 a game with 3.0 rebounds. But watching a couple of the last Cavs games that have been on TV, the games I've watched, JR's looked better. And then, of course, they have the former Sixer, Kyle Korver, shoots 43 from the three, who averages about 10.2 off of the bench. So, and then Dwayne Wade averages about 12 off the bench or starting. They mix him in and out. And then you got to watch still Jeff Green, who averages about 10 off the bench, Jamison Crowder, who averages about 9 off the bench. So the Cavs and then Shannon Fries and Jose Calderon are other decent three-point shooters. So the Sixers have to be able to guard the perimeter to have any shot in today's game. But a silver lining is the Sixers are actually statistically worse. I read on, I can't remember whose tweet it was somebody's tweet online, that the Sixers are actually the worst against sub-500 teams, and they're best against middle-of-the-road teams, and then play good parts of games against the NBA elite teams. So that's definitely a silver lining and something to look forward to, where we might be able to keep this game close and make it be a better game than we would think without Joel Embiid. But granted, some of those statistics obviously go into having Joel Embiid as well. But definitely we have a higher win probability to beat the Pelicans tomorrow, which is a game that I'll do a look ahead to tomorrow. But this game is going to be very tough if we can't get the defensive boards. If we come out slow like we have the last couple games, we're really going to dig ourselves into a huge hole that then is going to make the game hard to watch. But because of what I said, where the Sixers actually show up against middle-of-the-road teams and very high elite teams in the league, and they show up the least against sub-500 teams, there's a chance there. But we're going to have big games from Redick, Covington. TLC's going to have to do better off the bench like he did about 3 or 4 games ago, not how he's been the past couple games. Rashawn's going to have to grab a lot of rebounds for us. And then if Booker comes in, he's going to have to grab a lot of defensive boards with us or for us. So this has been a look ahead to the Sixers versus Cavs. It's going to be a very tough game for the Sixers, but we'll see what happens. This is Sports Fanatic News. I'm Joe Borick. Peace out.